Hey everyone and welcome back. So it's 2025 and I've been living with this phone, my gold iPhone 14 Pro, for a good while now. And the big question that keeps coming up is, does it still feel pro? This isn't going to be just a spec sheet recap. This is a real world, long-term look at what it's like to use this phone today. I'm running the latest public release of iOS 18, which is iOS 18.6. My battery health has settled down to 85%, and I use this thing for everything every single day. So how does it really hold up? In this video, we're gonna cover it all. We'll talk about the design and that beautiful promotion display, how the A16 chip performs in 2025, and yeah, I've got the benchmarks and what it's really like living with 85% battery health. Also, we'll talk into the cameras, Apple Intelligence, and cover the stuff you really need to consider, like, yup, that lightning port. So whether you're thinking of buying one of these on the used market, you're still rocking yours and wondering if you're missing out, or you're on the fence about upgrading to something newer like the iPhone 16, or maybe even waiting for the iPhone 17, I think this video will have some answers for you. It's easy to forget, but when this phone launched back in September 2022, it was a pretty big deal. This was the phone that introduced the dynamic island, which completely changed the conversation around the notch and how we interact with alerts and live activities. It also brought us the always-on display on an iPhone for the very first time, which was a huge quality of life feature. And of course, it was the first iPhone to make that massive leap to a 48 megapixel main camera sensor. These were genuinely game-changing features back then. So the real test is, how have those game changers aged? Let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the design and the display. Holding it now, this gold finish still looks absolutely incredible. And the frame, made of surgical grade stainless steel, feels dense and, well, really premium. But there's no getting around it. It is a heavy phone. It comes in at 206 grams and you feel that. Especially when you hold it next to the newer titanium models like the iPhone 15 Pro or 16 Pro. You can definitely feel that weight difference. For me, it's not a deal breaker at all. I actually kind of like the heft, but it's something you notice for sure. But then you turn on the screen and honestly, it is still absolutely top tier. This is a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display, and that ProMotion technology, the adaptive 120Hz refresh rate, it is just as smooth and fluid as any brand new phone you can buy today. Scrolling, gaming, just swiping around the OS, it's flawless. And the brightness is still a standout feature. It can get up to 2000 nits peak brightness when you're outdoors, which even by 2025 standards is fantastic. You never ever struggle to see this screen in direct sunlight. So yeah, the display is one area where this phone hasn't aged a single day. So under the hood, we've got the A16 Bionic chip paired with 6 GB of RAM. And I'll just say it flat out. In day-to-day use, swiping through menus, opening apps, scrolling through social media, all the normal stuff, it's flawless. There is zero lag, no stutter, nothing. And I have to say, since I updated to iOS 18.6, it feels even better. I know some of the earlier iOS 18 builds had some reported issues with heat and battery, but my experience with this final 18.6 public release has been, really positive. It feels more fluid. A lot of the little bugs from earlier versions seem to be totally ironed out, and the phone just doesn't get as warm as it used to during normal use. Now, I have seen some forums where people on the beta versions were having a rough time with battery drain or overheating. But for me, this final public release feels like a really polished, stable end to the iOS 18 cycle. And that's usually what Apple aims for with these final 0.6 updates before they shift all their focus to the next big thing, which will be iOS 26 after the iPhone 17 comes out. Now, for those of you who like the numbers, I did run Geekbench 6 and my phone scored 263.7 on single core and 6732 on multi-core. So what does that actually mean? As you can see, it's still an incredibly powerful chip. Of course, it's not going to beat the brand new A18 Pro in the iPhone 16 Pro, and some of the latest Android flagships like the S25 Ultra are pulling ahead, especially in multi-core performance. But just look at how well it holds its own. The truth is, we've kind of hit a plateau where for 99% of what you actually do on a phone, this is still way more power than you'll ever need. It's fast, and it's going to stay fast for years to come. Okay, let's talk about the battery. This is probably the biggest concern for anyone looking at buying an older phone. After a couple of years of pretty heavy use, my phone is at 85% maximum capacity. So what does that actually feel like in the real world? For me, on a normal day of use, some social media, checking emails, watching a bit of YouTube, listening to music, I can get through the day, but just barely. I'm usually looking for a charger by the early evening. If I have a heavy day, like I'm out shooting a lot of photos or using Google Maps for navigation, I absolutely need to carry a MagSafe power bank with me. It's just a necessity. I'm consistently getting about 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, which seems to be right in line with what a lot of other users are reporting online with similar battery health. But it's really important to remember that Apple actually considers any battery with 80% capacity or above to be in optimal condition and performing normally. So while it's definitely a noticeable drop from that fresh out of the box feeling, the phone isn't considered to have a degraded battery that needs immediate service. This level of wear is pretty normal after about 500 charge cycles, which is about 2 years of use for most people. So it's manageable, but you have to be realistic about it. Now, the camera system is honestly one of the main reasons I'm still so happy with this phone. That 48 megapixel main sensor, even in 2025, is fantastic. In good light, the photos are sharp, they're packed with detail, and the colors are just great. And if you're someone who likes to edit your photos, shooting in ProRAW lets you pull an incredible amount of information and detail out of the files. The 3x optical telephoto lens is also still incredibly useful. It's perfect for portraits, giving you that nice background compression, and it's great for just getting a little closer to your subject without losing quality. And the ultra-wide is solid for those big landscape shots and even does a decent job with macro photography. So is it the absolute best camera system on the market today? No, of course not. The newer iPhone 16 Pro has a better 5x telephoto zoom and an upgraded 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera. And then you have phones like the Samsung S25 Ultra with its insane 10x optical zoom capabilities that are in another league for long distance shots. But here's the thing, for most people and for most of the photos you take every day, the pictures and videos that come out of this iPhone 14 Pro are more than good enough. In a lot of situations, you would be really hard pressed to see a huge difference between this and the newer model unless you're really pixel peeping on a big screen. The quality has just gotten that good. Alright, let's address the big one, Apple Intelligence. Let's be clear, the iPhone 14 Pro with its A16 chip and 6GB of RAM does not support Apple's new suite of on-device AI features. Apple's official reason is that these AI features require at least 8GB of RAM to run smoothly, which this phone just doesn't have. Now, some users online feel that the A16's neural engine is plenty powerful and that this is more of a marketing decision to encourage upgrades. But for me personally, honestly, it is not a deal breaker. And here's why. Right now in 2025, Apple Intelligence is still in its early stages. It's kind of like a public beta. For any of the heavy lifting AI tasks I need to do, I find myself turning to more mature and powerful alternatives anyway, like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, which both work perfectly fine on this phone. So am I really missing out on a daily basis? For my personal workflow, not really. That might change in a few years, but right now, it's not a reason I'd upgrade. So no phone is perfect, especially an older one. If you're thinking about getting a 14 Pro, here are the real trade-offs you need to be aware of. First, the Lightning port. In a world that has pretty much completely moved to USB-C, still needing to carry around a Lightning cable feels dated. It's probably the biggest daily annoyance for me. Second, the battery. Like we talked about, at 85% health, you're not getting multi-day battery life. You're either a light user who can make it through the day, or you're someone who needs to have a power bank handy. A battery replacement, which isn't too expensive, is a very real consideration you should factor in. Third, the weight. It's a solid premium feeling phone, but it is heavy. If you're coming from a lighter device or really value easy one-handed use, it's something to think about. Alright, so let's wrap this all up. Who should actually consider the iPhone 14 Pro in 2025? If you are a potential buyer looking for flagship features without paying the 2025 flagship price, I honestly think the iPhone 14 Pro is one of the smartest buys you can make right now. You can find these for under $400 on the refurbished market, which is just incredible value. You're getting that amazing 120Hz ProMotion display, a camera system that is still fantastic, and performance that will easily last you for years. Just be prepared for the battery life and that Lightning port. If you are a current owner watching this on your iPhone 14 Pro right now, I hope this video just validates what you probably already know. You have a great phone, it's still incredibly fast, the camera is excellent, and it's likely going to get major software updates for another 3 or 4 years. Unless the battery is really driving you crazy or you are just desperate for USB-C, there is very little reason to feel like you need to upgrade. But if you are a current owner thinking about upgrading, here's my take. You should upgrade to the iPhone 16 Pro or maybe wait for the 17 Pro. If you are a power user who will genuinely benefit from that longer 5x zoom, if Apple Intelligence is an absolute must-have for your workflow, or if the convenience of having USB-C on all your devices will make a real tangible difference in your life, for pretty much everyone else, the jump in the day-to-day experience might not feel as big as the price tag would suggest. For me, the iPhone 14 Pro has hit that perfect sweet spot of aging. It's old enough to be really affordable, but it's new enough that it still feels modern and incredibly capable. It's really a testament to how good these pro-level phones from Apple are and how well they hold their value over time. But that's just my experience. I'm really curious to hear from all of you. Are you still using an iPhone 14 Pro? What are your thoughts on it? Or are you thinking about buying one? Let me know your whole story down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, giving it a thumbs up would be amazing, and consider subscribing for more long-term tech reviews just like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.